Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the 11th episode in the SummerSlam Rewind Challenge, where I go back and watch every single SummerSlam ever. Now, you may be back, but are you better than ever? Blue Chew has a knack for making things better. Face facts. Get Blue Chew, the chewable tablet that helps you have better sex. No need to get in line. Just check out the link in the description box below and make sure to use the promo code Denise. But now let's get into SummerSlam 2003. So for those of you who watched my SummerSlam 2000 video and the last one that I did, which was SummerSlam 2002, so far I have really loved those the most. As a matter of fact, the last one that I did, SummerSlam 2002, I gave the highest rating possible because I really enjoyed that show. So coming off of that one, going into SummerSlam 2003, I really didn't feel that this show necessarily got anywhere near what we saw in the last one. And so I kind of felt like a little disappointed because as I was watching the show, the first few matches I didn't think were that good. And it really wasn't until the later part of the show where I really felt we had the true highlights. So the first highlight that I want to get into is Shane McMahon versus Eric Bischoff in a false count anywhere match. And this was the shit. But there was a good moment at the end that I guess kind of made it worth it having to go through all of this. There was two cool moments, but other than the last two cool moments, this was the shits. So Eric Bischoff was basically making it seem like he slept with Linda McMahon, and he even made a joke about now knowing where Shane McMahon gets all of his energy from because they had shown a clip where Eric Bischoff was almost fondling Linda McMahon, and he even like holds her and he brings her in to him, and it's really inappropriate here. To rewind a little bit, Kane had set Jim Ross on fire and he planned to sue Eric Bischoff, but Stone Cold Steve Austin made Eric Bischoff face Kane on an episode of Raw. Bischoff then laid down and Kane left. So Bischoff now has to face Shane McMahon. And Bischoff tells Linda that he's gonna beat Shane to a bloody pulp and then kisses Linda and starts touching her incredibly inappropriately. So Eric Bischoff had Jonathan Coachman help him out. And basically, it becomes a 2-on-1 attack where Eric Bischoff and Jonathan Coachman are getting the best of Shane McMahon. And this is so painful to watch. Like, nobody cares. I don't think anybody cared then. I definitely sure as hell did not care now. So I was not into this whatsoever. And I had completely forgotten everything else that followed. So I was very happy when Stone Cold Steve Austin came out, helped out Shane McMahon, of course, gives Eric Bischoff the stunner. And then that was what I thought was, okay, this is sort of the reward. We get to see Stone Cold Steve Austin. That's a very great reward. But then I also loved, and this to me also felt like the reward, was that Shane McMahon ended up doing an elbow drop from the top rope to Eric Bischoff on the commentary table. And of course, that was freaking cool because Shane McMahon got a shit ton of height during this elbow drop. So that was awesome to see. But this was so painful. Everything before Austin and before that elbow drop was absolutely painful to watch. And when you're watching this back, you're thinking like, oh, like this is really what I'm seeing. Come on, past SummerSlams had incredible matches with Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio, TLC matches, all of these other moments that I've talked about. So I definitely did not want to, or nor did I care about this. Since we're on the topic of Kane, I do want to connect this to the other highlight of the night, which was a match between Kane and RVD. A no holds barred match that this is one of the stories, believe it or not, that I've always remembered, specifically with Kane and RVD, because I still remember going crazy, literally crazy, when Kane unmasked because I didn't know that he was Isaac Yankem at the time. Of course, I didn't know that. I didn't know any of that stuff. I had no idea. I had no idea that I had actually seen Kane's face already. No idea. And so Kane, when he unmasked, and honestly, it's so funny because looking back, they didn't even do a really good job of making him look gruesome because the whole thing was that he was talking about how disfigured and how ugly and how horrible he was. And RVD was trying to get him to just, I guess, be himself and not have to worry about wearing the mask. And so I remember watching this, and when Kane took off his mask, Oh my God, I was in shock. Watching this the first time ever, I remember the next day I went to go visit my cousin. Now, I didn't really have access to a computer at this time, so I couldn't go online and I didn't know about these websites or anything. So I remember going to my cousin's house and we were talking about what had happened with Kane unmasking. It was such a big deal. And he was like, Denise, do you want to see it again? Do you want to see it again? And I'm like, yes. So he goes on his computer. He's a little older than me. So he shows me the Kane unmasking video once again, and he hits pause and we're studying it. And at the time, I truly believe this man was disfigured. But all he had was like black little marks. Like it wasn't even nothing of a big deal whatsoever. And then as he went on, he would just had a normal face. He didn't even have the black stuff anymore on him. So it's so stupid. But also, that same day that I went to that cousin's house and we were watching Kane be unmasked, we started getting on the topic of unmasked wrestlers. And then he turns to me and he goes, Denise, have you ever seen Rey Mysterio unmasked? And I said, no, that's out there. People know what he looks like. Guys, I did not know. I had no idea. I was very, very clueless at this time. And so that was the first time that I was shown a picture on the internet of what Rey Mysterio looked like without his mask. So embarrassing because I had not known any of this prior. I lived in this bubble of things that I did not know. And so that was really the big thing that I want to get to with that. But with that being said, if you guys recall, this was also when Kane burned Jim Ross. And so this is so embarrassing, but there's a lot of things that I thought were real, even at this time, 2003. I was a little older. I'm embarrassed. I was like 12, 13 years old at this point. So humiliating. I thought back then that Jim Ross was really being set on fire by Kane. And I've told this story before because I had never been more mad in my entire life watching wrestling than I was at this point. I was so upset that no one had saved Jim Ross here. I was like, how can people watch this man be set on fire? How come the cameraman didn't do anything? How come commentary didn't do anything? Why are we all watching this man be set on fire and no one is doing anything? And that's legitimately what I thought. Was so upset. And I've always remembered that. It always stayed with me. And so that single memory reminded me of everything else with Kane and whatnot. And so it's so embarrassing to think about how I used to be because I was a kid, right? We were all there. We've all believed really embarrassing things. And so anyways, I love watching the story. I love watching the story recap as an adult, watching this stuff back. It's hilarious because it's reminding me of my old mind. And so, anyways, this match with Kane and RVD was actually pretty kick-ass. Some really cool moments during this. I did enjoy watching this match, and I enjoyed the flashback here of all of the build up to it and how all of this sort of intertwined with everything we were talking about earlier. Oh, they also reminded me that I was at the Raw where Kane tombstoned Linda McMahon. And I saw it and I was like, wait, I was there for that. I remember seeing that in person. So there you go. Another little random fun fact of a memory that triggered me. And the other highlight that I want to get into is Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar in this rematch. As you guys all know, they wrestled each other at WrestleMania 19 and they had a freaking awesome match. I loved that match. I didn't think this match was anywhere near as good as their WrestleMania match, but there was still a lot of really good moments because you had two really great wrestlers here. And Kurt Angle could just do stuff with Brock Lesnar that you never really saw him do with other people. I love the way that Kurt Angle countered the F5 with the DDT. I love the way he slocked in the sleeper submission with his legs on Brock Lesnar. I thought that was very unique. Even though Vince McMahon comes out and hits Kurt Angle with a chair shot to the back, Kurt Angle still is able to win this match when he locks in Brock Lesnar with an ankle lock and he wins. But as I was watching this match, I tweeted out that I am so thankful that Kurt Angle, going back and watching his old matches, still hold up each and every single time. Each and every single time. That's what I've loved about going back and watching these SummerSlams is, again, I'm reminded of the wrestlers that I've always said I'm a fan of, and I'm just reminded of why I'm a fan. And so man, I can't say enough good things about Kurt Angle. Like, you will always hear me say nothing but amazing things about Kurt Angle. I will take no Kurt Angle slander anywhere, nowhere. And he's so good that I don't think anyone really would. So, anyways, moving on to the next highlight. The next highlight that I want to get into is the main event, the Elimination Chamber match for the World Heavyweight Championship, with Triple H defeating Goldberg, Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton, and Kevin Nash. This was the second Elimination Chamber ever. One of the things that I love is always seeing Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho wrestle each other. That's always really great to see because you know how much Chris Jericho was such a fan of Shawn Michaels his whole career. But the big thing in this Elimination Chamber was Goldberg, because Goldberg was the second to last guy to come into the chamber. The last guy ended up being Triple H, but Goldberg goes in there and he quickly eliminates Randy Orton. He's dominating, he's cleaning house, he spears Chris Jericho into the pod, and Triple H is just watching him beat everybody up. He even eliminates Shawn Michaels, and then he eliminates Chris Jericho with the jackhammer. And Goldberg eventually breaks through the pod with Triple H inside of it, and the crowd is chanting for Goldberg. So what I loved about this was really how dominant Goldberg came in and how frightened Triple H looked. But then he goes in there and he does end up winning this match, but he does so by hitting Goldberg with a sledgehammer. And it kind of felt in this moment like the people wanted Goldberg to win. That was the vibe that I got. Just based off of like the reactions of how people were reacting to this. But the part that I did remember the most from this was the post-match attack where Triple H was attacking Goldberg with the sledgehammer. I always remembered this because I always thought it was really gruesome to just tie this man up to the chain and then attack him with the sledgehammer with all of Evolution attacking him. And apparently they made this match an Elimination Chamber because Triple H had a torn groin, and that's why he wore those like biker shorts or compression shorts, whatever you call them, underneath his tights. So now it's time for the ratings. Best match, I gotta give it to Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar. Worst match, I have to give it to Shane McMahon and Eric Bischoff for the whole time that we saw Eric Bischoff and Coachman beat up on Shane McMahon, just really took me out of it. And for MVP, I got to give it to Kurt Angle for having an incredible match and retaining the WWE Championship. And then my rating for this year, I have to give it an 8 out of 13. I didn't love this one as much as some of the previous ones, but because of the match with Kurt and Brock and the Elimination Chamber and the Kane RVD match, because of those three matches, I had to give this one some extra love. And that's a wrap for this episode. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of SummerSlam 2003. How did you feel about it? Let me know in the comment section below, and I will be back tomorrow with another video. Bye, everyone.